11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. What a fight! I think Canelo won it.
Juan, the Hispanic causing panic, Lascano.
And thanks to those joining me live and those who will be joining me on the archive, D style. Here it is on the archive. Hit the like button if you like the content. Subscribe, and you could also join the membership only as low as 99 cents a month. Help support the channel. And for those, I had some new members recently. I appreciate it, guys. I always do. And more content will be coming for the members as well. So just want to put that out there. Shout out to a Broondog 16 haplotype in the building. Get your, skull emojis in the chat. You know what I mean? Like this. We got to get that going. So Saul Canelo Alvarez is going to be fighting William Skull. I can't get excited for this. I just watched the press conference and I'm like, I don't know, guys. I'm not feeling that. And first time I've heard William Skull speak. And it's like, it's just this same generic, I hope this doesn't come off insulting, but it's the same old generic Cuban dude speaking. Like, you know what I mean? There's nothing there, really. Pues mira, lo vamos a preparar y vamos a estar listos. Yo voy a pelear en todo el mundo. That's okay, cool. If I would have closed my eye and nobody told me that was William Skull, I would have confused them easily with Erislan de Lara. Like, you know what I mean? But either way, get your skulls in the chat. All right? Hit the like button if you're watching live right now, by the way. And let me just say this. I am a firm believer, right, in giving everything a chance and all that, but I just can't with this fight. Like, why aren't we just doing the Crawford fight in May? What are we doing? I just don't, I'm not a fan of this, bro. I just And then Turkey is trying to spice things up by asking Canelo, what's the missing piece for the fights in September to make it bigger? What you got, Canelo? He's like, don't worry, my friend. I got you. I'm going to get the belt. My question is, is Canelo really, after he beats William Skull, is he really two-time undisputed champion? Is that really a thing? Canelo Alvarez, two-time undisputed champion, even though he never lost the belt and he hasn't lost in his weight class because the sanctioning body stripped him, and now the sanctioning body's putting the belt up on the line again. What are we doing, bro? He's clearly the undisputed champion of the world in the weight class, but we're playing this stupid game, right? Where boxing fans are playing along with it and just agreeing, yeah, totally, yeah, two-time undisputed because you need all 4 belts. You need 4. Like the 4 horsemen, everybody just walks around like this. You need 4. But I didn't notice that Irishman, so maybe they can play that. Oh, he's so much bigger than Canelo. You know what I mean? Maybe, I guess, but I'm just not excited for this fight. I ain't feeling it. Fatal Fury. And in Turkey was essentially promoting this event openly saying, Canelo, you got to do what you got to do so we can make that big fight in September. Like, it's like, what are we doing, bro? So telling everybody, like, well, we already know, obviously, but you're the promoter here. Like, tell us why can Skull win this fight? What are we doing? It's like, this is not a fight. It's just like a ceremony to crown Canelo once again. It's a coronation. It's a coronation for Saul Canelo Alvarez to be a two-time undisputed champ. That's what this is, right? In a fight nobody knows, nobody cares about, nobody wants to see, nobody asked for it, nobody demanded it. But that's just me. I don't know. Maybe there's people out there like 92AKU who are Skull Gang all day. Make sure you post your skull emojis in the chat as such. Right? If you haven't already, hit the like button. Right? He's rooting for Skull. There you go. So that's all I really have to say. I don't have a lot to say about Canelo versus Skull, other than it's just like a little, I guess, a little vacation for Canelo to go get coronated in Saudi Arabia and become two-time undisputed champion, because there's people that really need him to be holding that belt, because for whatever reason they believe that if Canelo holds the IBF belt, that's going to make the fight with Crawford even bigger. Give me a break, right? Rusty Cage saying he's excited, he's ecstatic for this fight. Unbelievable. What am I going to do? What am I going to do with you guys? Look, I just don't, like, no matter what happens in boxing, we can never get a consensus. Have you guys noticed that? It doesn't matter what it is and how obvious it is, we can never get a consensus on anything. Ever. Boxing fans like to be the odd man out. Like, it's like they see that, like, oh, most people are feeling that way. Well, I'm going to go this way. That's what I'm going to do. That is the sport of boxing in a nutshell, pretty much. 92Q, we are going to get Grumpy Canelo because all the David Benavidez questions. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, I think those questions are fading away, to be honest. And I think the Crawford fight is a bigger fight than the Benavidez fight. So I just don't think it's going to be as bad as you think it is, but we'll see. You know what I mean? We will see how it all goes down. Obviously, it looks like Bivol has been ordered to fight Benavidez for the WBC, but Turkey is interested in the trilogy. Man, a lot going on right there. All right. Let's go ahead and before I get to Dana Turkey, something I want to revive for a little bit. If I may get y'all's attention, please. May I have your attention, please? I want to revive Glovegate for a moment, because Joey Spencer, as you all know, is going to be going to Newcastle within Australia early April. All right, we're about a month away. He's going to be fighting Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu obviously coming off 2 losses in a row. A close war fight that he had with Wondura, where he was basically cut ugly, couldn't see from both eyes the majority of the fight, and then where he was just blasted out and in his last fight, and that was early October. So now he's back to fighting Joey Spencer. Joey Spencer's in a little bit of a winning streak himself. Not that long ago, Ramos basically destroyed him and stopped him late. So they're both kind of in need of a big win here. So it's a crossroads fight in a sense, and a must win for Tim Tszyu for sure. Joey Spencer is still very young. I think he's like 24 or something. It's still a very young fighter. And so a win here will catapult a lot for him moving forward. But I believe Tim Tszyu's going to win. And I want to share something, though, and we're going to talk about it, because Joey Spencer a couple years ago was like somebody that was pushing Glovegate. So let's share this.
People who say, "Oh, that didn't play any part in it," it definitely, 100%. Was hitting with the bare knuckle. I literally, you can see it in the video.
Hey, before anything, if you guys have I'll give you a moment to raise your volume a little bit, because it is kind of low in the audio. This is from a Boxing Ego video a couple years ago. So And then I hope you guys got your volume up. Let's go ahead and play it.
People who say, "Oh, that didn't play any part in it," it definitely, 100%, was hitting with the bare knuckle. I literally, you can see it in the video. But not only that, it's not that this is just like I'm pulling that out of my rear. I'm not just saying like I believe that. It's my opinion. That is a real thing. Not only that, but he trained in Detroit for the early part of his career. I grew up in Michigan. I trained in Detroit my whole life. That was a thing that Detroit guys would teach and do in the gyms, and even in sparring. But even in amateur fights, they would put the gloves on that way, and they would loose and flappy, put the wrist on the knuckle on purpose, and they would actually teach you to do it. That's an old school trick that's been used in gyms in Michigan at least, and maybe even more than that, probably in more cases than we know of, for a long period of time. Ron Wright, they obviously.
Oh.
Now, on HCP, this has been a podcast running for a little over 4 years now, right? And what did HCP do? Well, when all this was coming out, the Golovkin situation, and simply stuck to the facts. They didn't get all caught up with the emotions, just stuck to the facts. That's it. So what did we do, right? We invited glove experts to talk on the podcast is what we did, right? The ones that actually design the gloves and that the fighters wear, and including an Everlast glove expert, which is the type of glove that obviously even Wilder wears, right? And we spoke to several experts and basically all saying all this is nonsense, right? And you could look up on YouTube all the people that showed you how it's all nonsense, right? Joey Spencer was doing interviews saying that, oh, this is a totally legit thing, right? It's a totally legit thing that was going on. Joey Spencer was going around telling everybody that in Detroit, the gyms in Detroit, the old school methods of Detroit, like Krong Gym and co-signing people here saying that Emmanuel Stewart was the architect of this. I heard some people say, but he said that in Detroit, this was a known thing. They would put the fist right in the wrist area of the glove and would use that to hit guys, right? Insane. Some of the craziest shit, right? And what was the proof, right? The proof was, oh, look, you could see, right? You could see in the glove, you could see the wrapping. Now, we know it's not this part of the fist because holding the glove like this would be stupid anyway. But even if you believed it, well, there wasn't laces here. The gauze covers the knuckles. And it couldn't be this because there's no tape on this area. But for whatever reason, people believed it. Right? Oh, those are knuckles. He saw knuckles, they said. Right? It wasn't this right here. No. It was the knuckles. Right? So Joey Spencer was spreading the whole thing. If you don't believe me, for those just coming in, I'm going to replay it. Joey Spencer, no need to go back. I'm going to replay it, right? Dudes like Ego going around spreading this whole thing. Confirmation bias. I mean, they love the confirmation. From Joey Spencer, who would have been in his early 20s at the time, right? Probably 20 years old or something, talking about the old school tricks. Like this little kid would know all the old school tricks that was used in Detroit specifically, right? Just smearing Detroit. Like if Detroit needs more smearing, right? Oh, yeah, he used to train there. You're like, Fury trained in Detroit, he said. So that's obvious. He learned a trick in the early days, so he started to use it. Let's play it again.
People who say, "Oh, that didn't play any part in it," it definitely, 100%, was hitting with the bare knuckle. I literally.
By the way, I'm gonna play it again. But doesn't he sound like David Benavidez? That's why I was like, is that David Benavidez? What the fuck's going on? Like, but it's not David Benavidez, by the way. But Joey Spencer went on podcast just totally co-signing Lovegate. Just totally. By the way, this was one of the early versions of the theory, right? When they believed that it was a left glove. All right? They thought it was a left glove. And I had dudes on my panels arguing with myself, and it was G Funky at the time. They were arguing with me and G Funky that it was totally the bare knuckles in the wrist area, right? And they were using the confirmation bias of dudes like Joey Spencer, right? Is what they were doing. Okay? Now, I still have the debates up. If anybody ever wants to see them, I have the debates. They're still up, right? But this is what we're being told. Disregard what the experts are saying. Even like Russ Sabner, who's designs gloves and everything. Ignore him. They don't know anything. Believe Joey Spencer because he's telling us what we want to hear. We want to believe that this was a real conspiracy. So Joey Spencer, 20-year-old or whatever he was at the time. Somebody look up, if somebody doesn't mind, look up the age of Joey Spencer. If somebody wants to be a fact checker real time for me, look up his age and how old would he have been about 3-4 years ago, right? That way I'm not misquoting the age or not misquoting, but misstating the age. Troy Mack, how's it going? Chairman John. Luis Hernandez, where's Calix? Calix is always invited. He has access to come on if he ever wants to come on. All Calix has to do is jump on. But Calix is busy, brother. Calix has things to do. Calix has a family. He's a family. He's a dad. He's got things to take care of. So, but if and when he's available, he jumps on. That's all I could say, right? Shout out to Calix. 92AQ, how's it going? Alexander Wilson, Sport Archives, and JJ Anaya. Thank you very much for your support and being a member. You guys can become a member by clicking the link right there in the description. With that said, let's play this. I want you guys to listen to Joey Spencer breaking it down. The next opponent of Tim Tszyu. He broke this shit down. Let's listen.
People who say, "Oh, that didn't play any part in it," it definitely, 100%, was hitting with the bare knuckle. I literally, you can see it in the video. But not only that, it's not that this is just like I'm pulling that out of my rear. I'm not just saying like I believe that. It's my opinion. That is a real thing. Not only that, but he trained in Detroit for the early part of his career. I grew up in Michigan. I trained in Detroit my whole life. That was a thing that Detroit guys would teach and do in the gyms, and even in sparring. But even in amateur fights, they would put the gloves on that way, and they would loose and flappy, put the wrist on the knuckle on purpose, and they would actually teach you to do it. That's an old school trick that's been used in gyms in Michigan at least, and maybe even more than that, probably in more cases than we know of, for a long period of time. Ron Wright, they obviously.
Oh, like I like how Boxing Eagle's like, oh my God, he just heard something amazing. 100%, he hit him with a knuckle. 100%, he said. 100%. That means no room. Like not likely. Like 100%, it happened. Shout out to Tony Boswell. Thank you for being a member, brother. Always appreciate the support from Tony Boswell. Right? So shout out to you, brother. Drive safely. Listen in. Hopefully I don't make you laugh too hard. We don't want you to crash now. And shout out to the great state of Oklahoma. I've always loved Oklahoma. It's Calix has a problem with Oklahoma, but not me. All right? But with that said, that's what Joey Spencer said. This dude literally said, oh, yeah, it's 100%. Hit him with the knuckles. Right? Insane, bro. It's crazy. Right? Now, remember, they abandoned this theory, by the way, and they went back to the right-hand theory afterwards. Right? Where they said he started using the egg wave. Right? When the knuckle thing became too stupid, that's when they switched over to the egg weight theory. Right? So in the end, like Spencer ended up looking stupid. Right? And in the end, Spencer just totally look dumb. Look at the whole thing. But anyway, like you heard what he said. We're gonna play it one more time for the people in the back to listen to. One more time. This is crazy, bro. It's just one more time, though. We're gonna play it, and then I'll give my final thoughts, and then we'll move on.
People who say, "Oh, that didn't play any part in it," it definitely, 100%, was hitting with the bare knuckle. I literally, you can see it in the video. But not only that, it's not that this is just like I'm pulling that out of my rear. I'm not just saying like I believe that. It's my opinion. That is a real thing. Not only that, but he trained in Detroit for the early part of his career. I grew up in Michigan. I trained in Detroit my whole life. That was a thing that Detroit guys would teach and do in the gyms, and even in sparring. But even in amateur fights, they would put the gloves on that way, and they would loose and flappy, put the wrist on the knuckle on purpose, and they would actually teach you to do it. That's an old school trick that's been used in gyms in Michigan at least, and maybe even more than that, probably in more cases than we know of, for a long period of time. Ron Wright, they obviously.
Oh.
So yeah, I like how boxing. He goes, "Oh man!" Like he was so submissive. Like, keep in mind, Joey Spencer at the time must have been like 20 years old when he did this interview, right? So this 20-year-old is telling everybody that this has been going on for a long time in Detroit. Like, you know what I mean? Detroit, right? Detroit's barely hanging on right now, by the way. It's hanging on by a thread. I've heard it's doing a good recovery, though, but Detroit's gone through a lot. But the last thing it needs is Joey Spencer throwing dirt on Detroit, especially when he trained there his whole life, right? This guy's these are some serious claims. He said, you heard what he said, that, oh yeah, they do it even in sparring, you said. Even in sparring, and you knew they were doing it. So nobody ever called it out, even though you knew, like everyone knows they're doing it, but you never called it out. Nobody would stop the sparring and be like, whoa, you're using this very deadly tactic of having the knuckles in the wrist area for whatever reason, right? It's a very well-known thing, right? And throughout they even do it in the amateurs, he said. This is crazy. What are we doing? What the fuck was this dude talking about? And then they abandon the left-handed knuckle theory, and then they adopted the egg weight theory with the right hand, right? And it just threw away this whole thing that Spencer was saying. Now, I don't know who convinced Joey Spencer to spread this whole thing. I don't know who did it, right? But I do want the media to follow up on, like if somebody doesn't mind out there in Australia, to all my good friends in Australia, and somebody asked Joey Spencer if he still believes this theory. Like, and somebody asked him if he still stands by what he said. Can we revisit this? Like I know Glovegate's like old and irrelevant now, but since just for old time's sake, can we ask Joey Spencer? Can somebody just ask him, why did you ask that? Like, did you really believe that? Who told you that? You really think like Kronk Jim was teaching tactics of putting the fist in the wrist area of the glove? Like, do you really believe that? Like, I just need these questions asked, right? And then if you ever have a chance, just guys, look up like people that have used not the gloves that they sell at Walmart and none of that shit. Just there's actual guys that use the same brand of glove that Fury used, right? And they try putting the fist in the wrist area of the glove, and it looks ridiculous. Like you could see the laces all across. You could see a big bulge, right? Right there. Like it looks like a big tumor in the middle of the glove. Like this idea that it was there is utterly ridiculous, right? And Spencer was just pushing this thing out. So what I will say respectfully is, one, I want to know if Joey Spencer still feels the same way or if he was just capping. I do think members of the media, if you don't mind, if you can ask Joey Spencer, what's up? Do you still believe that, Joey? Right? And why were you saying that? Who put Joey Spencer up to this? It sounds so ridiculous. I wouldn't be shocked if somebody paid him to say it, right? He was a young kid, impressionable, right? Maybe somebody talked him into it behind the scenes. He thought he would sound like a great historian by exposing this great truth, right? About the history of Detroit and how about you have been using this deadly tactic for years, smearing gyms like the Kronk gym in the process. Oh man, unbelievable. So I want to know what's up with that. And if nobody wants to ask him, open invitation to Joey Spencer. I'll invite him and I'll ask him. Quite frankly, I have some questions for Joey Spencer, right? That were not asked when he was making these claims, because the people that were doing his interviews with him when he was saying this, they just loved what they were hearing. They were eating it up because it was giving them confirmation bias. Too bad they abandoned the ship of the left hand with the knuckles and they adopted the right hand with the egg weight. Too bad, right? But it is what it is. Let me give a shout out to the people in the chat here. I don't want to neglect anybody, man. I appreciate everybody that's tuning in. I really do. Eric Gomez, how's it going? JC, how's it going? Puro Sur, what's up, brother? I hope everything's good. Rusty Cage, I believe I shouted you out, but I'll do it again. No problem. Raider in the building. How's it going, brother? I hope everything's good. Fotex asking the question. Eric, you see what Turkey told Canelo? Don't bring no other belts, only ring belt. Plan to drive the sanctioned bodies to extinct has started. I did not hear that part. That's interesting. But then what's the whole fucking point of getting the IBF belt? What are we doing? Like, doesn't that contradict the whole point? It's not like that's just a big contradiction, in my opinion. But what are we going to do? Right? Tony Boswell with a very straightforward, common sense answer. Spencer lied just like Wilder lied on Breland. Well, that seems like the most plausible, but I still want it to be asked, right? And why not? And I hope, I'll leave it with this. I hope Tim Tszyu knocks him out, right? For talking that nonsense. That's what I hope. All right. That's what I hope happens. So that'll be that, right? Just want to remind everybody what Joey Spencer said all those years ago. Let's talk about Turkey and Dana White and all that. Like, obviously, me and Calix did a podcast yesterday, so we already kind of give our thoughts on that. But a couple of things I want to say. Look, I of course I have my reservations and questions. I don't know if this could work. I'm going to be straightforward with you guys. I don't know if this could work. And that's what I said here. I don't know. And I'm not 100% sure I exactly want a UFC style league like there's in the UFC for boxing. And I'm not 100% sure. Let's see what side whether it could happen or not. I'm not exactly sure that's something I particularly think we need. I think that the sport of boxing is so spread out. It's so worldwide, and there's far more participants in it than there is like in the UFC and stuff like that. Like, we're talking about so many fighters. It's an Olympic sport. For those that don't know, it's going to remain in the Olympics. It's not going anywhere. World Boxing will be the new body for that. So more than likely, and I believe, just bank on it, there'll be Olympic boxing in Los Angeles. But with that said, it's I'm just not sure like it could work because there's so many people involved in boxing. There's so many hands in the cookie jar, right? I'm not saying it's impossible, but I do question how it can work, you know? I don't have a problem with there being a league and if it gives us great fights or whatnot. I just question whether it can be as successful as like the UFC is. I think there's some people that are a little too confident that it's going to be that successful. I have a lot of reservations and questions about that, right? And we can address issues without going to an extreme like creating a league, right? Of course, I want to see the best fighters fight the best. Of course, I want to see consistency, and the more fights, the better, right? And if I'm honest, we've had some pretty good years, right? It hasn't been that bad. Of course, we got to thank the Saudis for most of it, and that's fair, right? Is it sustainable for them to be paying premium price forever for a lot of these fights? Probably not, right? Which is probably why they want to create a league to begin with, and probably why they're putting Dana White in charge of it. I just don't know if it's going to work. Like I have my reservations about that, but make no mistake about it, I see the plan. Like I've been seeing it, and I saw the selling of Ring a long time ago, and so we just saw where we are, right? And my question to you guys is, do you want to see a UFC style league? If it could be done, leave aside whether it could be done or not, promote. Do you want to see it? Would you be in favor of that? Right? And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm not entirely sure. Right? I'm never going to say no to great fights. I'm never going to say no to consistency, but I'm just not sure we're going to have a league that has all the best fighters in it. And in boxing, once a fighter knows his value and what he could sell and what he could generate, they're not going to be fighting for the amount of money that a lot of UFC fighters make. Like, it's not going to happen, right? And because it's a global sport and so many other promoters are involved, I believe there's always going to be somebody to go to. And I just don't see a scenario where they're going to have everybody involved, right? But could it be a catalyst or something positive still for the sport? Possibly, right? Like if we have, if TKO Boxing doesn't invest in the sport, and let's say they only have about 40%, 50% of the best boxers in the world, and they all fight each other and they're giving us consistent fights, that could be a good thing. But are we going to see cross promotion or not? I would believe there will be, but will we get it? I mean, I don't know. Because that's not what they're doing in the UFC. So of course I have questions about how that's going to work, right? It works for the UFC because they have a monopoly essentially. They have about 80 to 90% of all the best fighters in the world, right? And they eventually, most of the time, end up signing the top talents of the other organizations at some point, right? There's some exceptions, like Fedor, for example. For the most part, they found a way to always sign eventually the other 20% that's not in their respective company. But I just don't see a scenario where they're going to have an 80% control, right? Or a monopoly in the sport of boxing. I don't know if the sport of boxing could be monopolized. That's number one, right? And there's going to be some pull here. There's going to be a lot of, circumstances and situations that Dana is going to be dealing with, right? That he would not be dealing with, that hasn't had to deal with in the UFC, right? Now, there's one main barrier, which is the Ali Act. Now, there's already talks like maybe get rid of the Ali Act, right? Dana is close friends with Trump, and they run the government, so they could get rid of it. And look, that's not like out of the realm of possibility. You never know, right? I'm not exactly sure if getting rid of the Ali Act is the best thing. I have my reservations and my questions about that, right? But here's what I will say. With all that said, I'm not going to stand in the way of it either, right? Boxing's a free market. If an investor wants to come in and try a league and boxers sign to it and they want to participate in it, I'm not going to be against that, guys. It doesn't matter if it's Dana White. I'm okay with it regardless, right? So all I'm going to say is let's wait and see what happens. Maybe it gives us some good positive results. Maybe it'll make the other promoters step up and do a better job, right? Maybe it'll do some type of correction on the market of some sort, right? I did not hear that, JC. That's interesting, but okay. So we need to all kind of look at it and be like, you know what? Let's see how this plays out, right? No, we don't need another belt, by the way. I'm not in favor of, there's a league and this league's going to have a belt. Suddenly they're going to go by the ring belts or what, right? And I don't even know if ultimately it's going to be a league like the way the UFC is, right? Maybe it's just another promotional company, right? And they start promoting fights. Maybe that's what it's going to be at the end of the day. So let's wait and see. That's all I've been saying. And if it doesn't work, then they'll be out of business and they won't do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's as simple as that. Now, I know Aztec had asked me, well, what's wrong with the way it is now? The WBA has been in power for over 100 years. And you know how many changes the sport of boxing has had? There was no WBA before there was a WBA, by the way. There was a time when it was the NBA, which became the WBA, and the New York State Athletic Commission belt, which was recognized, and it was like a rival belt to the NBA. And eventually, that was kind of disbanded, got rid of, and it kind of the WBC kind of took over from there. So there is a lineage that the WBC has with the New York State Athletic Commission belt, right? Like there is kind of like a correlation there in terms of one ending and the other one starting. And they've been around for a while, but keep in mind, there was a time when we had one belt and two belts, and then remember, and then we had three belts, and then we had four belts. And we keep going, we're gonna have five belts, right? And we kind of have five belts now because they're starting to recognize the ring belt is kind of being looked at a little differently now. It's always been like a recognized belt where we recognize the lineal champion, but it's really being treated like just another belt now, like the other ones, right? Like another sanctioning body, especially since the purchase by Turkey. So it's not just a ceremonial, like this means you're the lineal champion belt anymore, right? Well, this is a belt you kind of keep to still show that you're still the champion, even if they strip you. It's not really just that now, right? It doesn't really just mean it means you're number one in the division anymore. Like it's really becoming like just another one of the sanctioning bodies. It's what it's becoming. And so there's always been changes, right? Since the inception of the Marquess of Queensberry rules, they started adding to the rules. We have the unified rules today. So there's a lot of rules, a lot of changes that have taken place. Someone else getting involved and investing in the sport, trying to create a league, would it be something that crazy, considering the fact that we've had a lot of changes over the years. So let's see what happens. All right. I want to give a shout out to Carlos, shout out to you, JC, and everybody tuning in. So look, for those that just came in, go back, listen to the archive. If you haven't already, hit the like button right now. Go ahead and hit the like button. It helps support the channel. It helps get visibility to the channel. So it's much appreciated, guys. Shout out to Bruce Goss, Boxing Jazz, and more that just came in. So you can go back and listen to the rest. Listen to Joey Spencer talking about glove gate and all that good stuff. So that's all I got, guys. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day. If I come on later, we'll see. I don't know. But this is D-Style, and I'm out. Peace.
11, 10, 9, 8, 7,